Manfred Weisleder, the owner of the Star Club, took all these St. Pauli stars from the top 10 club, and so he had Tony Sheridan and the Beatles.
Manfred was a gentleman. I wouldn't have got on the wrong side of him. Horst Fascher was the sort of manager, fixer and whatever. And he had an offsider called Ali. They looked after the bands, also looked after the audience. When there was any sort of trouble in the audience, it never lasted longer than about 40 seconds. They were real heavy.
Weisleder had everybody who was important in rock and roll. Chuck Berry, he had Fats Domino, Gene Vincent,
Chubby Checker, Little Richard. Everyone who was famous, they used to go via the Star Club.
To me, the first wild, high voice I ever heard was Little Richard.
When we met him in Hamburg, that was the real time we got to know him. And he was just after his kind of evangelistic period. And we used to say, is it true you threw all your rings off the bridge and gave all your money away? Well, of course it's true, child.
You know, so I went to Hamburg, Germany with them.
He used to get in front of the mirror. He'd do this Vic treatment for his throat. You know, you put a towel over your head and get Vic in the hot water. And he'd come up and say, oh, you're so beautiful. I can't help it because I'm so beautiful. Oh, Richard!
Swinging right, having a ball on Saturday night. The band leader said, "What you want us to play?"
Paul was so nice, you know. John used to like to mess with me in my dressing room, you know, quite a bit. I can't say on television what he did, you know. He was something else. In fact, I never met nobody like him.
Really?
I don't think nobody met nobody like him. I don't mean he was bad. Now, listen, I'm not saying nothing bad about him. God bless his soul. But he was all right, but he would mess with me. He wouldn't let me out of my dressing room.
Oh.
He would hold me in he would hold the door. And I would be screaming.
He said, yeah, Little Richard.
The Star Club was sort of starting point for the British invasion, because they learned their trade there and went to the world, because becoming bigger, 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 and that was the end of the Star Club because they couldn't afford these acts anymore.
Well, we didn't find out until we came down to the cavern on the 19th of August, '62. Pete was missing off the drums and Ringo was in his place. Now, we knew Ringo from Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. Why is Ringo here? Where's Pete?
It's one of those moments that you see dramatised, you know, where the group's at mates and everything and the big producer just wants two of them.
I decided that Pete wasn't a very good drummer, so I went to Brian and I said, look, there's no reason why, to the public, Pete Best shouldn't be part of the group, but as far as records are concerned, he's out.
George Martin had been used to more professional drummers, you know, that were actually out of pit orchestras and people who'd been making records for years.
The reason that they gave was they felt that I wasn't a good enough drummer and that Ringo was better. And this doesn't hold up water as far as I'm concerned.
Pete was a fiercely good-looking guy. He had a big following of fans.
It became obvious that we weren't going to be able to continue with Pete, and it was like a major scandal at the time because Pete had a lot of fans.
Talk filtered through, oh, he's been replaced. And, of course, once we heard that, we all started to chant, Pete forever, Ringo never.
The success they had, I should have been part of. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Anyway, Ringo was very polished with his drumming.
But we gradually accepted it. We didn't have a choice, we had to.
The Beatles played here 3 engagements in 1962. They played on the opening night, and they stayed for 2 months, played every night, and then they came back in November and December 1962, already with Ringo on drums then, to play their last 2 shorter engagements.
They played the Star Club 3 times. The last time they didn't really want to play there. They had to because there were a contract.
Their last show at the Star Club is New Year's Eve 1962. And then they leave Hamburg and almost immediately become big stars in England because their first #1, Please Please Me, comes out only 11 days after they play their last show at the Star Club.
How do you become a Beatle? I said, well, first of all, you go to Hamburg, you work 7 nights a week. The playing times are something like 7 and 8 hours at the weekends. That's where they learned the trade. It wasn't Liverpool that made the Beatles.
Well, I used to call it the University of the Street, the musical part, but also the Reeperbahn Große Freiheit part.
At that time, we were just kids let off the leash.
Another great learning curve for us, but that's what we wanted from rock and roll.
But maybe they had to go to this all to become what they were on the end, the biggest in the world. But here's where it starts.
That's the hardest school you could have, and they had it.
In my opinion, our peak for playing live was in Hamburg.
In Liverpool, Hamburg, and around the dance halls, you know, and what we generated was fantastic. Well, we played straight rock, and there was nobody to touch us in Britain, you know. But as soon as we made it. The edges were knocked off.
Hamburg didn't change the Beatles. Hamburg changed everyone. St. Pauli changed everyone here. Everyone who was there at that time.